Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and you guys, this video has been so long in coming. So here's the deal. I was thinking about drugstore week for you guys, right? Because everybody wants a drugstore week. You guys have been asking me for it. I'm like, yes, we are doing this. So I went through and I was like, what is something that has to be in my drugstore week? Has to be dupes. We have to have dupes. We have to have them. We have to have dupes. So I proceeded to go through for 3 hours and swatch every single highlight that I own. I know you guys haven't seen the makeup collection. It is coming. I'm not ready for it quite yet to like film that, but there are 3 tubs of highlights. Tubs of highlights. And they're all beautiful. I love them all, but like it's a little bit overwhelming when you're trying to go through this process. So I go through all of them. I find all these swatches. I do this. And as you guys know, if you're new to my channel, this is the first of this type of video I have tried to film. So I'm already like overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, bring it down, Paige. You can do this. Like you have this. So I go through, I find 10 and I'm like, yes, these are 10 dupes, like highlight for highlight or like little face palette for face palette, something like that, that all have highlights that are dupes for a high-end product. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. We got this. Then I went today to do the frickin' swatches because I was like, you know what, Paige, take it one step further. Insert swatches. Like, oh, all these other fancy people do it. They swatch them beforehand. And then while they're talking, they like overlay video of like them doing the thing. So I try to do that. That's the part of this video I am the most nervous for. So, oh my God. I'm just going to jump into the video, but you guys, please be kind to me. I know that they might be rough or things might just be a little bit off. I'm doing my best to make them smooth, but just know that I am so insanely nervous uploading this. I'm so nervous. So the first one we have for you guys is the Maybelline Master Chrome Highlight, which I just can't seem to stop breaking up against the ILuvSarahii Dose of Colors collab in the shade Soulmate. So let's talk here. The only, and I will tell you as we go through these two, like little subtle differences or variances, or like if something has shimmer and something doesn't, or something like that, I will definitely let you guys know those little things going through it. So the one thing that really like got me sparked with this idea is the Maybelline Master Chrome. It is such an iconic, beautiful, fantastic highlight. It is rich, it is creamy, and seriously one of the best highlights you can find at the drugstore. I think it's like $10, right around 10 bucks, $9.99, and it is just so beautiful and stunning. And so when I saw this one from ILuvSarahii, the collab, I was like, wait a second, I have got to know if this dupes anything, because like you have to dupe new current stuff too, right? So as I'm going through and I'm swatching, the only major difference behind these that I find, and I'm not sure again how this is going to show up in the swatching portion, but here's just another one so you guys can kind of see. There is a tiny bit of like difference in these, and as far as how they feel in pan, the Master Chrome actually feels better and like smoother when you swatch it than this one does. This one has a little bit of like bumpiness in the pan, but this one is much smoother. They both glide on so beautifully, and like I've said before, they are both too dark for me, but as a highlight for anyone with medium to deep skin tone, I just find these to be absolutely beautiful, lustrous, and I have worn both of them obviously on my actual skin before. What I love equally about both of these highlights is that the Maybelline one is so smooth all by itself, and it builds up beautifully, and it doesn't emphasize too much texture, which is great for a drugstore highlight. And the ILuvSarahii is the same way, but I find that it actually emphasized a little bit more of my texture. So to have the cheaper one not only be cheaper, but a very similar color at such a great price point, even smoother. I mean, if you have medium to deep skin tone, I do not see any reason that you would not love this highlight. It is the 100 Molten Gold. It is the first one that they came out with in that line. I believe now there's like 6 of them. They're not all good, by the way, but this one is absolutely amazing and fantastic and such a good dupe for this guy right here. And honestly, it's a great base dupe for a lot of other golden highlights. If you are in the market for a golden highlight, you don't want to spend a ton of money, and you have a relatively medium to deep skin tone, I do feel like it would be just such a great option for you to pick up before you even venture into the expensive side. Because honestly, every time I swatch a goldeny highlight, like let's just be honest, the first thing I think about is the Maybelline Master Chrome. And I'm like, man, is it any better? Because seriously, so many highlights have like all this hype. They have all this blah, blah, blah built up, and they're not that great. So for me, this was like a #1 dupe. Had to do it. Yes. So next up, you guys, we have e.l.f. versus Ofra. This one really blew me away. I already obviously have them swatched for you, but I have them swatched right here. Like, oh my God. So let's talk e.l.f. first. This is the e.l.f. Shimmer Highlighting Powder in Sunset Glow. And it is so smooth when you swatch it with your finger. It is so creamy to the touch. And what I love about this highlight so much is that it is so buildable. You can layer this as a really natural glow. You can build it up. You can make it thicker, more intense. And I was like, wait a second. What a better place to pair this. And I didn't, honestly, I had no, like, I never thought that this would work. The Ofra Rodeo Drive highlight. This is an immediate blinding highlight. Like, you touch it and you're just like, oh shit, like that just happened. But if you are looking for, a lot of times when, like most of us, you apply highlight to your cheeks, you take like a brush of some kind and you kind of do one of these, right? Yes, we all want that beautiful, sexy glow, but you want it to be a glow. You're not often looking for like a beam of light. So I took and I took the Ofra one and I sheared it out, and I'll be damned if it is not almost identical to this e.l.f. Shimmer one. The e.l.f. Shimmering one builds up to the same intensity that you can take Ofra and kind of bring it down to. Meaning you can take the e.l.f., you put on one swipe, you're like, wow, that's a nice glow. You add another swipe and you're like, damn, that's a highlight. You take the Ofra and you do one swipe and you go, oh my God, that's blinding. You take it and you just like shear it out just a little bit and like blend it onto your cheeks. All of a sudden it's a really beautiful, sexy glow. So for me, seriously, such a good dupe. Save your freaking coin. Try this out. I'm obsessed. Third dupe we have on docket is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. This is in the shade Be My Highlight. And you guys, you want to talk drugstore? Does it get much cheaper than Essence? I don't think so. And I put that up against the Cargo. This is their Picture Perfect Highlighter in the shade Bronze. And wow, do these feel different and look similar. So when you swatch the Essence Pure Nude and when you touch it and then you swipe it on your skin, you're like, wait a second. Kind of like how the e.l.f. one that I just talked about, you're like, oh, that's kind of light. It's a little underwhelming. It's this, it's that, but it feels so smooth. And my general rule of thumb with highlights, whether they're high-end or drugstore, is you have to have something that feels smooth to even be considered for a highlight that will work on my face, because I have so much texture that if the highlight's not smooth, it's not going to go on smooth, again, because it'll grab onto my texture and it just runs amok all over my face. So when I swatched the Essence one, it was somewhat underwhelming. It's a much more natural highlight, but it does build to this really beautiful glow. This is where I think it stops right before it gets to intense highlight and it builds to like intense glow. But it's so beautiful. And I was like, okay, so this is a totally different highlight. This isn't blinding. This isn't anything else that I've already looked at in all of these highlights. So then I pulled out that Cargo Cosmetics one, again in the shade Bronze, and the crazy difference is that when you swatch the Essence one, it is so thin, but when you swatch the Cargo one, it feels thick but still super creamy. So I swatch it and I'm like, my God, these could not feel more different, but literally look the frickin' same. The Cargo one does the exact same thing. It gives such a beautiful glow and lustrous look to your cheeks without going overboard. They don't chunk up, they don't grab other products, they work well, they blend on top of other things, and it's just crazy to me that they are so similar while being so different, like feeling at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, you guys, this was just another crazy one that was so not obvious, but so fantastic. Like, how I'm obsessed. So this next one, you guys, I'm not gonna lie, she got me speechless. I was sitting there swatching and I was like, I was nearing the end of my pile. I had a couple left to swatch, a couple over here, and I'm like, like, just for shits and giggles, like, what do these look like? And then I held these up next to each other and my eyes, I felt so stupid. I'm like, they literally look the same. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Gold Bar, and this is in the shade Holy Gold Head. Holy Gold Head, I don't know. But you guys, so frickin' stunning. And then I'm like, okay, well, it's a more of a light gold. Like, what in the world is that gonna match? And I kept going through and I couldn't find anything that had the light reflective that the Wet n Wild one had, but that also had the slightly warm, nice light undertone. And then I found this one, the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish Whisper of Guilt. And oh my stink. These are so freaking similar. Now, this is one where they are slightly different. I did swatch them again, obviously. They are very, very similar in the way that they feel, the way that they apply, how much pigment they pick up, like both on my finger and on a brush. The only major difference that I do find with these, and again, it is very minute, but of course I want to point it out, the MAC Whisper of Guilt highlight is just a skosh, and I mean like a tiny bit more brighter, and not more pigmented, not more smooth, not more anything, brighter. Like as in going from a 9 to a 10, just a little bit more reflective. And what I noticed is that when you apply something, anything for that matter, whether it's an eyeshadow or a highlight or whatever, and you're swatching it with your hands, the difference is often not so noticeable when you apply it with a brush. And that's because a brush has a way of dispensing product across your face, across your skin, your texture, your eyes, whatever. And it does it in such a way that it takes that difference and tones it down. So in swatch, they will look like the MAC one is more bright, and it is these things because it is that way. But what I find is that when you apply them with a brush to your skin or whatever, you almost can't tell a difference in that level of brightness. If anything, if you're like, oh, you know, this one needs a little help, whatever, and you feel like the Wet n Wild one isn't quite bright enough, that's fine. You can build it up, and it literally becomes almost identical when you add 2 layers of the Wet n Wild. And for the price difference, I will gladly add 2 layers of the Wet n Wild. And these, because these are what, like $26-ish from MAC versus the little tiny Wet n Wild bar highlight that's like a couple dollars. Like, the difference is ridiculous. It is worth layering sometimes. And the Wet n Wild one stays really smooth in consistency. It doesn't get, again, balled up, gummy, gunky, anything like that when you build it up. And I think that that's just the measure of a beautiful highlight, like drugstore or otherwise. I think it's just a great highlight when you can apply as much as you need to get the effect you want, and you don't have to worry about it being over the top or looking funny or being like anything weird. It's just a beautiful highlight that you happen to like add more beautiful highlight. And for me, this was such a great frickin' dupe because the MAC one is such a like staple for so many people. They love it. For me, it is almost too dark. Like, I can't wear it alone. I have to add a white highlight with it, but it's just something that so many people love, they look for, and it's like, dude, no, try this. I'm telling you, just try it. It's so good. So you guys, now that we're at number 5, the 5th dupe, the world, the half, the pinnacle, the halfway point, if you will, I am so excited for this next dupe. This is probably my favorite one that I've found because I love both of these highlights so damn much. So the first one we have is, you guys knew that this was going to be in here, and if you didn't, shame on you, girl. This is the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. And oh my God, such an amazing formula. There are no words for how much I love the Flower Beauty. So I have that pitted up against none other than the Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Palette. Oh my God. This, okay, I need to calm down. Like, I honestly feel like I could use an inhaler. These are 2 of my all-time favorite highlights I have ever used. I will start with Flower Beauty because obviously we're going to start drugstore. This formula is frickin' stunning, so blendable, so smooth, doesn't emphasize anything, and overall, by far, one of the top frickin', what is this, a highlight palette, a face palette, I don't even care what you call it, one of the best things I've ever bought from the drugstore, bar none. This palette is that fantastic. And what's so funny is that before I ever found that palette, I had this one from Hourglass, and I have used this palette so much. Like, I don't know how I haven't hit pan yet. This is one of the most amazing, beautiful, blinding, dispensing freaking highlights. It goes over your cheek. It's just like seamless. You can't even tell you're wearing a highlight. Your face is glowy. The world is your freaking oyster. And I never thought I would find anything until I found this that came close to this like $60-some freaking palette. Way too expensive highlight palette, but I always justified it. I'm like, you know what though, for the price it's worth it. For the price it's worth it. Well, you know what, you guys, I have words and I have news for you. Today on my face I am wearing one on one side, one on the other. Literally, that's what we're talking about. Over here, I have the Hourglass. Over here, I have the Flower Beauty. And the only difference that I can tell you is that if you are playing with these palettes, The Hourglass one does have this whiter shade, a really, really light shade right in the middle, that it does make it look a tiny bit brighter when you mix them all together than the shade in this one. That is the only difference. And when you diffuse it over your face, there is no other highlight on this cheek other than this palette. I went through with my big fluffy brush, like one of these big guys. I went through the whole palette on this guy. Same thing with another brush. All three on this side. That is all I did, and I'm telling you, they look almost frickin' identical. They are both equally smooth, equally intense, so blinding. I don't even have words for how much I love this dupe. I don't have words because so many of you have watched me use this Hourglass palette for so long. I've probably been using this for over a year. I use it all the time. I love it. You guys always ask me, like, I've used this in probably 10 or 15 videos. I love it. And to have a dupe that is actually affordable, it's like 10 or 15 bucks, right in that range somewhere, and it's just so good. There are literally almost no differences, other than, like, there's a couple of shades in the Hourglass one that are a little bit darker than the ones in the Flower Beauty, and that's the only other thing I can tell you is that when you're looking at the swatches I insert, just keep in mind that those are individual swatches, and when I apply these types of palettes, I apply them all together. So I take all of the colors in this Flower Beauty, I run it through all, and I just apply, well, actually it was on this side, but I just apply it. And the reason that I do that, because I know that a lot of people ask or are curious, the reason I run it through all three colors in a palette like this, or all three colors in a palette like this, is because you end up getting all the different undertones. And I know that this is something we don't talk about, and I probably shouldn't put it in this video, but I will. When you're looking at a palette like this, it's important to realize that there's like kind of a bronzy shade, there's a pinky undertone, and then there's more of like a yellowy white undertone. Same in the Flower Beauty. The reason that I go with that is because it makes everything on my skin look really cohesive. One of them matches my natural skin tone, one of them will match the blush, and one of them will more match the bronzery kind of, you know, that type of luminous. So when I go in and I mix all three together, I end up with those same pearlized pigment undertones on my cheekbone. They blend and they give me the brightness that I need on my cheekbone, while at the same time creating some form of cohesion on my face between my cheeks, my bronzer, my eyeshadow, just all the elements work together. So a lot of times when you see me work with something like this, you will see me go through all three colors. If you do not have this in your arsenal and you take makeup seriously, you need it. Like, you have to. I'm sorry. If you love highlights, if you love to glow like the queen that you are, you need it. So the next one was a slightly unlikely pairing. I didn't see this one working out, but like, oh my god. So first up was the Covergirl Trublend Super Stunner palette. These are relatively new. This palette is in the shade 500, and I believe that this one is for fair to light skin tones, but I believe they have one for medium to deep skin tones as well. But this palette is absolutely fantastic. It is so blendable and so creamy, and all three of these highlights work so beautifully together. They work beautifully separate, and they have such subtle differences that I was like, okay, what palette do I have that's that subtle? And the palette that I came up with and fell in love with is the Tarte Skin Twinkle Lighting Palette. Now this is such an amazing palette. If you hold these side by side each other, I mean, come on, you guys. Like, do they not look almost identical? First of all, just right, like, come on. That's the first thing. Second of all, the only thing that is different about these that I think needs to be addressed, in this Tarte palette, there's this little middle panel right here, and that they call the Filtered Light. It is a matte sand shade. It is completely stupid. It has no reflect, and I've used it under my eyes. I've used this a lot before, and it basically makes your skin feel really smooth, but it doesn't do much. However, when you compare the other two, like, real highlights on the two sides of this with these guys, literally the same color, the same texture. Oh my god. Now, I have used this palette so many times off of camera. I haven't talked about this one or the other. There's another one in here that I'll get to in a second. And I haven't talked about them much on camera because, you know, there just really wasn't a time or a place, whatever. I really liked them. I figured I'd throw them in somewhere. To find these, and these are new, by the way, relatively new to CoverGirl. They even have like the new CoverGirl packaging, so if you haven't seen them, that's probably why. But these are so good, and you guys know, I have not had a good track record with CoverGirl. There's been very few things in the past that I've been like, wow, holy shit, I love these. And this is so good. And as far as how it differs from Tarte, you guys, I'm sorry, it barely, if at all, does. The only real difference I could find is that in this CoverGirl palette, these ones do have a couple shades that are a little bit more pinky undertoned than in this Tarte one. But again, the Tarte one only has like these two real highlights to work with. So if I was to compare direct shades, it would be like these two shades right here are what you get in the Tarte palette. And then this one is just a slightly deeper pink, but it's still really beautiful. They blend great. And oh my God, like I'm obsessed. And if you're new to my channel, I was obsessed with this one like a year and a half ago when I started my channel, and I'll never forget the day that it went on sale at, where did that go on sale at? The Tarte website, and I picked this up for like 20 bucks or something, 12 bucks, I don't even know. It was relatively cheap, and I was so excited. And now to be all these, like a year and a half or whatever it is, all these months later, and find this CoverGirl one, I'm like, oh my God, I'm duping my own favorite things. Like, how cool is that? I don't know. I love them. They're both really, really similar, and they're so good, and this is such a good dupe. Now, you guys know me, right? Like, we know I like to double duty as much as I possibly can. So when I found this next dupe, I was kind of ecstatic. We have the Catrice, and you guys know oh my God, I love Catrice. And I fell in love with their little light in a box palettes. They have like 3 of them. I've talked about these a ton, but this is their light in a box highlight palette. And basically what you get, again, for like a super affordable, good, awesome drugstore price, you get these 4 highlights and then this top coat. I've talked about this. I don't like this top coat. I'm not a big fan of glitter, and that's basically what it is, like a glitter on top of your highlight. That I don't live for. But these 4 shades over here, I was like, oh my God, what if I could find a dupe in here? Like, and then you'd have 4 highlights for the price of something else. Like, oh my God, right? So I start swatching, and I'm swatching these, and then of course I continue to swatch, and I swatched until I almost fucking passed out and died. I swatched so much. And I came up with the best ever. Now in this palette we are talking about one shade specifically, and that is this guy right up here. I don't know what shade that is because there's not like a shade diagram, but it's this guy right up here. And want to know what we're putting it up against? Yeah, the Smashbox X Velata Petal Metal Highlight in Gilded Rose. Mind blown. You guys, these colors are literally, hold on, I'm gonna clean off my other swatches. First of all, there is no way that I can convey to you, oh my God, how similar these are. And now here's the only difference. And this is, I'm going to be completely honest. The Gilded Rose one from Smashbox is very smooth, beautiful, buttery. And I wore this highlight, as you saw in the close-up, I wore this highlight to where like the imprint of the rose itself doesn't even exist anymore. I love it so much. It is bright, beautiful, sexy, smooth, sophisticated without being over the top in any direction. It's not overly gold. It's not overly pink. It really is a sophisticated Gilded Rose effect. But then I was looking in here and I'm like, okay, I showed you guys this color right here. It's very beautiful. It has a great color to it. So I swatched it and I'm like, okay, it's like a straight gold, right? Like it's not the same, but it has the same undertone of Gilded Rose. So then I mixed a little bit of this pink shade in with it. And you guys, I'm telling you, it is almost the exact same color. And I know that that's something that's probably not going to show up in the close-up as well. So I'm not, you guys are probably watching that like, is she off her rocker? One is pink, one is gold. Like she's lost her mind. And the problem is that in swatch, I can't show you guys that that's the only subtle difference. What I can tell you is that if you liked this highlight, if you saw swatches of it online, whatever, and you were like, my God, I don't want to spend that much. Okay, I totally understand. Check this out. You can mix those 2 shades, the gold one and the pinky one in this palette right here. These 2, they're the 2 diagonal from each other, and they are so good together, and they give you that golden sheen while giving you the red or like that nice pink underline sophistication that this Velata one has. And it's just so beautiful. Now they are slightly different in the fact that the Velata one has that pink color built into the gold. So when you go in and do it with the Catrice one, you have to work for it a little bit, right? Like, okay, but you're also paying half or less than half the price, and you're getting 4 or 5 different highlights in here versus the one. So to me, is it like, this is probably the most like of a stretch that I found in the dupes. Like you do have to, you know, open your mind up a little bit and you know, be cool with a little bit of variance. But at the end of it, if you are fine with still getting a beautiful, sexy, jewel toned highlight, that you kind of have to tweak around a little bit. You will be just fine and just happy with this. This is another one that I actually put on my face the other day. I did a really subtle like pink on my eye, like a little purple in the crease, light pink, whatever. And then I threw this combination on one side, this combo on the other. And the only difference yet again that I could see is that you could tell the Smashbox side had that pink built into it. Whereas with this highlight in a box, I really had to mix between those two shades and then apply it. But it still looked beautiful. I didn't have any issues. And if anything, the Smashbox one had the same dark sheen, and I had to correct this with a little bit of the Ofra highlight in the past, the Ofra Nikki Tutorials Glazed Donut, because it's still just a little bit too dark for me. But because I had this Catrice one, I was able to deal with it all myself. I just added in a little bit of this white shade, like right on top, and it lightened it up just enough that I didn't have to do it for the other side. So if you're super, super fair skinned and you feel like this would be a little too dark for you, because it is a little bit too dark for me too, you have all your answers in one palette. Like, to me, I don't know. It might seem like a stretch. It might look like a stretch on camera, and I totally understand if you guys think this one is just bonkers. But for me, did I just say bonkers? Oh my God, stop. Okay, well, that aside, I don't know where that came from. But that aside, you guys, I really think that this is a great dupe. And overall, even if you don't want to dupe it to this highlight, like forget this one even exists, this is just such a good, amazing palette. I recommend it. It does feel a little bit thicker, a little bit more gritty. When you feel it at first, you might be like, oh God. Because I did when I first... Completely honest, I swatched it, and this is me looking, oh God. And then I looked at them, I'm like, okay, those aren't bad. And then my very first time swatching these, they were so smooth. How it could feel one way in here and feel another on my hand is just beyond me. But overall, such a great palette, and honestly, a really nice dupe. Now, along those same lines that we just talked about, you're gonna have to open up your minds just a little bit and let me have my creative moment. So, first off, on this side, or on this next dupe, this is actually a three-part dupe. I found two drugstore that work really, really good for one high-end. Now, this is a newer high-end. We will get there in a second. But these, oh my God. You want to talk about another great example where when you mix these three palettes together, or these three pans in one face palette together, you get the same damn thing. You guys, first up, let's talk Milani. This is the Milani 03 Rose Glow Stellar Lights palette with the colors Pearl, Golden, and Rose into it. Oh my God, I saw this and I was like, this reminds me of something. This reminds me of something. And I kept getting this feeling looking at it like, I haven't pulled this out of my drawer in a while. What does this remind me of? Okay, so I kept swatching, and I swatched some more drugstore, and I was like, well, I mean, hell, if you're looking at the NYX Born to Glow palette, okay, like there's a couple in here. There's this guy, and this guy, these three right here. They look very similar in swatch. The NYX ones are a little bit darker, like this bronze is just a smudge deeper, but it swatches really thick and opaque, so it looks even deeper on camera. But again, when you swash them out, and when you do that thing like I taught you, or not taught you, like I showed you in the Flower Beauty and the Hourglass one, when you take all of them and you kind of mix them all together, you end up with the same colors that are in this Milani one. And I could not for the life of me. I'm like, what does this frickin' Milani one remind me of? In look, in color, in feel, swatch, everything. Then I figured it out, you guys. And boy, did I figure it out. The Charlotte Tilbury Bar of Gold palette. Oh my God. Do you want to talk about similar? Feeling the same, like the texture, the smoothness, the actual finish on your face. Oh my God. Okay, so I died a little bit. As you can tell, I get so excited when I find a dupe. Like, this is my level of excitement times 10, by the way. So, like, these aren't fake. People, can we just sidetrack for 1 second? People like to be like, oh, Paige, you're fake, you're over the top. No, I'm genuinely this excited, because do you know how much this Charlotte Tilbury one was? It was like $80 or something like that. Like, it was redonkulously expensive, and you get 0.08 ounces. That's like an eyeshadow and a half of each color. Okay, why can I not function to open you up? Thank you. That is not a lot of product. And it was, and I'm like that's not okay, right? So when I find this dupe for this, I'm like, okay, wouldn't you be excited? If you wouldn't be excited, I don't know why, because I'm very excited. So anyways, I'm sorry, tangent over. Literally, the colors are almost the exact same, first of all. Second of all, this Charlotte Tilbury, as much as I've complained about not having a lot of product, being super messy, like you can see the container is just a nightmare, because like I told you guys for the 15th time, I go like this and I run my brush through my highlights like this. So of course, all of the area around here gets completely ugly and nastified, which is whatever, it is what it is. But it's all these negative things. But at the end of the day, this highlight is so frickin' beautiful. It reminds me so much of the Hourglass Hourglass one that I already showed you. It has like this beautiful, sultry, thinned out way of being so thin and so seductive on your face. Oh my God, I love it so much. It doesn't emphasize texture and it's just so beautiful overall. Well then, this Milani one, same freaking thing, you guys. This highlight I used a couple of times when I first got it, and the only reason I took it out of my immediate section was because of that Flower Beauty one. I got that one and I was, oh my God, I'm so obsessed, I'm so in love. But the colors in this are so beautiful and so fantastic, and you're probably asking yourself, Paige, where does this NYX one come in? Like, why did you add this in? Well, first of all, this has 6 highlights in it. So if you're someone that likes to play around more, you do a little bit more avant-garde makeup, or you do makeup on multiple clients, this is a great palette. Now, hey, you guys, my light just went out up there, like above my camera. I don't know why, but if it looks different all of a sudden, I apologize. We're just gonna finish the video without it, but I'm sorry about that. But here's the thing. If you're the type of person that you do makeup on clients, you do whatever, this palette is a really, really nice one. Now, of the 3, it is my least favorite because this one does emphasize texture just a little bit more than the Milani one does. But at the end of the day, it's a great affordable highlight palette. It gives you lots of options. I have used these on my lids, all over my face. Quite frankly, I've even used them on my collarbones, my arms, my body, my legs. And this is just a really, really nice palette. If you want to bronze up an area of your body, it's really great for that as well. So I wanted to include it because, again, when you mix those 3 colors right there together, you get such a similar finish as you do with these two. These two are freaking identical. When you put them together, you swatch one on one hand, one on the other, you mix all 3 together, identical. You add these in, and if you're light on that really, really deep brown shade, it's also identical. Like, it's just crazy to me that I couldn't figure out where this Milani one, like, what it reminded me of. Charlotte Tilbury Bar of Gold. Oh my God. Anyways, 2 really good dupes for one really expensive palette. I would go with the Milani if I had to pick one, but if you have this one, just a combination, so you know, if you have this palette, that it'll make this Charlotte Tilbury, and it'll be very, very close to what is in here. So remember a second ago, you guys, where I was talking about that other Covergirl? It's the highlight trio, and I said I have another thing to talk to you about. We'll get there in a little while. So these last 2 duos or dupes that I have for you are actually face palettes that I duped that I was just really excited about. So I figured I'd throw them in this video because why the hell not? They both involve highlights. So I was like, I'll get away with it yet. So this one is the Covergirl Trublend Serving Sculpt palette, and this is in 500, but I don't know. I think the other one is just a highlight trio, and this, again, Serving Sculpting. So this one has the bronzer, the blush, and this pinky toned highlight. This is so frickin' good. I have used this palette by itself for like a week straight, and it's just a beautiful, sexy highlight. The highlight is so good, smooth. Again, it has a pink undertone to it, but it's so beautiful. This blush is amazing. It's bright, but it diffuses and it blends well. Bronzer, same thing, builds up great, works great on my skin tone, and it's amazing. And this one, again, is for fair to light skin tones. I believe there is a medium to deep skin tone as well of these, but this one is the fair to light, obviously, because I am pastier than paper. So I was like, what could I possibly dupe this with? How could I replace it? What is this going to work with? And then I swatched the Too Faced Natural Face Palette. Oh my God, what a good frickin' dupe. So this one does have 6 pans in it, whereas obviously the CoverGirl one only has 3. This one smells amazing. This one obviously doesn't, but like for the price, oh my God, these colors in here, this pink right here, and this highlight and this bronzer, like this whole row, it's just this whole row. So freaking similar. And in the side-by-sides, I believe for these ones, I actually did it like this on the backs of my hands. And I actually looked down and I was like, wait, which one is which? Like, they are so good, beautiful, blendable, sultry. Like the differences are so minute, being that in the Too Faced one, the blush, this hotter, more pink blush up here, has a little bit more shimmer in it than the one in the CoverGirl does. But other than that, like, they're very similar. The tones are even like the similar of the highlight, of the blush, of the bronzer, everything. To have all the tones and the undertones and the blendability line up so closely with these, I couldn't believe it. And again, like I said, you are getting 6 pans in here versus 3 pans in here. But like, for the price difference, who cares? You're not going to be able to use, if you're one skin tone like I am, I can't even use these other colors. Like these two right here, I can use this blush, but like this bronzer right here, way too deep tone for me. And then this highlight, I'm like, you know, like, it's okay, take it or leave it. If I had to choose between buying this for what, like 60, 50, however much this thing was, 40 bucks or whatever, versus this one for like $10, all day long I'd buy this. It's so good. And now we're on to the very last dupe, and I'm so excited because this is such a good dupe. Okay, we, of course, I couldn't get through this video without using my other Flower Beauty. This is the Flower Beauty Lift and Sculpt Contouring Palette. So it does have a highlight, a blush, and a bronzer in it yet again. Such a good, like, again, good formula, amazing colors. The bronzer works really well for me. The blush is so beautiful and light, but like it's that perfect, I pinched my cheeks, rosy, peachy, like light pink kind of color. It's like Barbie pink, but you can build it up or diffuse it and like go either way. It's just so beautiful. And the highlight, yet again, just like the other highlights, so beautiful, smooth, amazing. The quality is ridiculous. And the dupe for it, you guys are going to be like, wait, what? Violet Voss Flamingo palette. I have talked about this face palette so long. I loved the eyeshadow palette when they released it. This palette for me sucked. I didn't like it. It emphasized my texture. It was patchy. I was just not a big fan. So you can imagine my excitement when I duped these and they were literally the exact same freaking colors. You guys, this blush, this highlight, this bronzer. Oh my stink. So similar, except the Flower Beauty one blends better, shears out better, builds better. Overall, it's just so much better and so much like the way that the Flower Beauty one is made, you can tell that it is more finely milled than this one. That is the major difference. With this one, I'm like the highlight, it's gritty. I can like the texture. We've talked about this. I'm not going to go into it. But this Violet Voss, I'm just like, it doesn't do it for me. I've used it multiple times. And there's a couple shades in here that I like. Like these blushes are really beautiful. They're great blushes. But like the palette overall for what you pay, I was so underwhelmed and depressed while we're at it because these, I wanted them to be what Flower Beauty is. Like the Flower Beauty formula, I don't really care. Like the only thing I think I've used from Flower Beauty that I wasn't obsessed with were some eyeshadows, and that's it. Other than that, so beautiful. The formula is just unmatched. And if you were looking at this or you're like, I don't want to spend that much money, but you love the color scheme, check this Flower Beauty palette out. I'm telling you. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, you guys, I know this has been like the longest, most ridiculous video ever. I'm sorry. Like, it's been so long, even my light died. I swatched for 45 minutes. I threw out half my swatches. Like, this has been a minute. It has been a learning experience for sure. But you guys, at the end of it, I really hope that you are loving Drugstore Week so much because this week for me was such a passion. Like, the idea of bringing you guys good, affordable, amazing products that are dupes for really high-end ones is just like mind-boggling. And just so you guys know, too, like as a side note, I guess, side note, that's going to be one of my merch t-shirts one day. Side note. But everything that I recommended in this video to you as a dupe for a higher end product is a product that I wear, I love. I think it is so good. I think the quality is great. It isn't like I'm trading out a product that I don't care for with another product that I don't care for. I would not have picked that dupe if I didn't personally like love it or give it my stamp of approval. So they're all really, really good. Now, whether or not they work for my skin tone or whether or not they're something I wear a lot is a totally different story. But at the end of it, you guys, these are 10 dupes that I stand by that I think are so beautiful and amazing and creamy. And I want to hear from you guys down below. Did you like this video? Obviously, number one, like I want to know that. Number two, did you like the swatches, the inserting? Like, did all of that go okay? Did you like it? The formula or the format, all of that. It's totally different for me. I don't normally do them like that, but I feel like that's kind of what you guys are after in a talk through video. So did you like that as well? And then number three, what were your guys' favorite dupes and what are your favorite highlights like from this haul? What do you love? What do you agree with? Or if you have another dupe leave it down below so that way we can all kind of like glean from your experience because I only have 10, but I'm sure there's hundreds of dupes out there and I want the tea, sister. I want it now. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below and have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. I got highlight in my hair, I got highlight on my face, I got highlighted for days, I got highlight everywhere, cause I love my highlights. Are you loving Drugstore Week? Are you loving all my highlight dupes? Cause I'm loving it. Ba, 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 ba. I'm highlighted. Funniest part about that is how clever I think I am for coming up with I'm highlighted. That's the best part. So the first one we have for you guys is the Maybelline Master Chrome right next to the Dose of Colors. You guys, welcome to Drugstore. Wait, what? Welcome? Welcome. They've already been here. Paige, it'd be like welcoming someone into their own home. Stop. Okay. Now we're better. We're better. We're back. The bitch is back. We're good. For those of you, like, thank you for your continued patience. I am getting better at this, but let's go ahead and dive in. Did I like any of that? That was my own foot that I just ran over. That was nice. Okay, thanks. Thanks, bye. They are just so smooth. And I think they can be a little. Ofra Rodeo Drive highlight is so friggin' beautiful. Okay, I need to do those in the correct fucking order. The next battle is Ofra. That's Elf, but nice try, Paige. You could read. Only 3 letters.